Today we're going to be analyzing the top 100 sources related to Parkinson's disease and neural circuit/programs. So this is how we initially got all the 100 sources. We did a preliminary search on the Web of Science database, which resulted in a total of 11,321 sources. The way we got these sources was by first typing in Parkinson's and neural circuits, and then typing in Parkinson's and neural programs. Then we got all the sources. We knew that we needed the top 100 sources for our study. And our focus of our study was to understand how Parkinson's impacted the neural system and also how to treat it. Therefore, to narrow our search down, I started typing in keywords such as effects, impacts, and treatment. After doing that, we were able to get 100 sources, the top 50 from both search results. Of these 100 sources, 64 are articles, 25 are reviews, and 11 are preceding papers. The rest of this presentation will then be dedicated to analyzing the bibliometric data on these 100 sources and their applications to our study.
This diagram presenting the top 10 trending topics in our area of focus reveals specific neurological diseases, areas of the brain, hormones, and treatments emphasized by academics. Expectedly, the most trending topic is the brain. When then we move on to parts of the brain most directly correlated to Parkinson's, we have the subthalamic nucleus and basal ganglia, both of which are specifically responsible for movement regulation and are located near the midbrain. When the subthalamic nuclei are hyperactive, the execution of motor activity is hampered, as in the case with Parkinson's. There's a six-way tie for third most frequent, with deep brain stimulation, a treatment for Parkinson's that involves placing electrodes in the brain to regulate abnormal impulses, motor, which encompasses the neural circuits responsible for movement, prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain affected by Parkinson's that leads to impairments in executive functioning, subthalamic nucleus stimulation, dopamine, which is affected greatly by Parkinson's, in which 80% of dopamine-producing cells are lost, and dopamine modulation. The least frequent topic is dementia, which is an encompassing term representing the effects of dysfunctions in the prefrontal cortex and dopamine loss.
The following graph displays the annual scientific production of journal articles from the years 1998 to 2022. This graph represents the number of articles related to Parkinson's disease and neural circuits/programs published each year within the top 100 sources. By examining this graph, we can observe the trends and patterns in the output of research over time. This graph can provide insight into the level of interest and focus on the intersection of Parkinson's disease and neural circuits within the scientific community. From analyzing this graph, it is evident that the majority of the sources were released in the last decade, with a significant increase in publications starting around the year 2012. This trend suggests a growing interest and emphasis on the relationship between Parkinson's disease and neural circuits in recent years. The increase in research output during this period can be attributed to advancements in technology and a deeper understanding of the underlying mechanisms involved in Parkinson's disease. This trend indicates that there is an ongoing and active exploration of this topic within the scientific community, potentially leading to further insights and developments within the field.
This graph aims to identify and discuss the most relevant authors among the top 100 cited sources for Parkinson's disease in neural circuits/programs. By examining this graph, we aim to notice the influential authors who have significantly impacted the field of study. The list shows authors who appear 2 or more times in the sources. Barker is a prominent figure in this research field with 4 papers cited in the top 100 sources. Their work centers around neural transplantation and the effects that would have on Parkinson's disease. Their contributions have not only advanced existing theories, but have also set the groundwork for new avenues of investigation. Next, Alti contributed to the field by studying automated and objective methods for evaluating cognitive functions in Parkinson's disease. Their findings fill critical knowledge gaps and adds depth to the overall understanding of Parkinson's. Researcher Chaloup studied evolving neural networks to effectively classify data related to Parkinson's disease. Their involvement fosters a broader understanding of the research field by identifying common threads and interrelationships among various topics. Cosgrove aimed to improve the diagnosis and assessment of Parkinson's disease using advanced computational techniques. His contributions inspired many other scholars to look towards more advanced technology to discover new findings. Dagher, a relatively newer entrant in the field, has made remarkable strides in a short time. Their research focused on Parkinson's disease and its effects on cognitive function. Lastly, De Hemp science papers also focus on Parkinson's disease and deep brain stimulation. Their studies help to improve deep brain stimulation therapies.
In the following graph, we are shown the number of documents that the authors to the top 100 cited sources wrote in their respective countries. We're able to see that there is an overwhelming amount of cited sources coming from American authors. The USA is globally known as a wealthy country, therefore tools to research about Parkinson's disease and neural circuits and programs is more accessible. Due to this advantage, the USA helps these articles and research be more reliable and provide more accurate information. Canada and China do follow closely behind with 10 documents published in their respective countries. Like the USA, these nations are considered wealthy as well. Therefore, research is more reliable due to access to advanced technology. Along with that, the US and Canada are good countries for research. Therefore, them being the top two countries contributing to the top cited sources is beneficial to our research. In addition, in USA, Canada, and China, there are higher single country publications, which means all authors belong to the same country, compared to multiple country publications where authors are from different countries. This is inferring that intra-country collaboration is more popular and preferred among these countries. And this slide, this map is presenting similar data as the previous slide, where the countries with the darker shades of blue have higher production rates contributing to the top 100 sources. Similarly to the previous data, the USA, Canada, and China can be seen as the countries with the darkest shades of blue.
This pie chart represents the most relevant sources in the top 100 cited sources that we found. It's important because the top 30 or 40% of these relevant sources is what most likely drives a significant amount of studies and research done by academic institutions and independent researchers. So diving in deep now, if we look at the most relevant source, which is Brain Journal, we can see that it captures 17.9% of the most relevant sources. A little bit more about Brain Journal, its full title is Brain, a Journal of Neurology. It's a peer-reviewed scientific journal of neurology that is published by the Oxford University Press. It also has an impact factor of 15.255, which is the frequency with which an average article in a journal has been cited in a particular year. Essentially, it's a metric of its relevance in the academic world. The next most relevant source in our search was the Journal of Neurotransmission, which accounts for 14.3% of the most relevant sources. It's also a peer-reviewed journal. However, it's more specifically focuses on clinical neurology and translational neuroscience, coming in with an impact factor of 3.85. In addition, it used to be published in two different sections, one of which was just a general section and another section which focused on Parkinson's disease and dementia. So given its specialized background in Parkinson's disease, it's not really a surprise that it is the second most relevant source in the top 100 cited sources. The next three sources, which are Movement Disorders Journal, Neural Regeneration Research, and Parkinsonism and Related Disorders, begin the trend of more Parkinson's related sources in the top 100 cited sources, with the Movement Disorders and Parkinsonism and Related Disorders Journal focusing exclusively on Parkinson's. Going down the pie chart in terms of decreasing relevance of sources, we can see that the sources become more and more specific to the intersection of Parkinson's and neural circuits and programs.
As shown by the graph, we can see which higher educational institutions have released articles relevant to Parkinson's disease and neural circuits / programs within the top 100 sources. Observing this graph, we can see what colleges have a higher level of interest and or more amount of research put towards Parkinson's disease and neural circuits / programs, and the overall enthusiasm these colleges have towards the topic. This graph can help us choose which source of research is the most reliable based on the experience these institutions may have with Parkinson's disease and neural circuits / programs.
This pie chart represents the top 10 most relevant words in our top 100 cited sources. As we can see, basal ganglia is the most frequently cited term throughout our sources at 22.8%. The basal ganglia is the nuclei responsible for motor control, which can affect voluntary movement, speech, and posture, among other things. This is reasonable for our topic as Parkinson's disease primarily sees deterioration / damage of the basal ganglia compared to any other region of the brain. The second most frequent term is subthalamic nucleus at 17.8%, which essentially functions as a part of the basal ganglia, with deep brain stimulation only 3.9% behind it in relevance. Deep brain stimulation is a treatment option for Parkinson's and typically focuses on stimulation of the subthalamic nucleus. The bottom 7 terms are relatively similar in relevance with a range of 7.9% to 5.9%. However, it is important to note that one of these 7 terms is simply another way of writing deep brain stimulation, making the term the second most relevant at a combined 19.8%, and if combined with the more specific term, subthalamic nucleus stimulation, can be considered the most relevant topic in our source. Other terms refer to the dopamine hormone, motor function, and the more general area of the prefrontal cortex that houses the basal ganglia, which are all affected by Parkinson's.
This co-occurrence network map shows how the most relevant words in the top 100 cited sources are connected. The largest 3 words in black font show the top 3 relevant words, which again are basal ganglia, subthalamic nucleus, and deep brain stimulation. These 3 key phrases are highlighted because Parkinson's disease occurs when nerve cells in the basal ganglia are impaired. The subthalamic nucleus is a structure that functionally participates with the basal ganglia, and deep brain stimulation is an effective treatment for the motor symptoms of Parkinson's. The different colors of the dots represent clusters of neural terms and its ties to these 3 key phrases. For example, an orange dot labeled subthalamic nucleus stimulation is connected to another group of blue dots because this treatment affects a person's motor symptoms, which includes their gait or manner of walking.
Finally, these are the top 100 sources, including the authors, article titles, source titles, publication dates and years, and links to the sources themselves. By analyzing all of these through bibliometric analysis, we're able to discover which terms, topics, and themes were most relevant to our study and how to apply them to our papers. Thank you for watching our presentation.